up everyone, Topsy here. Not too long ago, I went ahead and did a full video breaking down the Midterm Destruction box announced by Konami. In that video, I went ahead and covered every single card revealed in that set, my thoughts behind what implications it could possibly have into the format, and my overall vibe of the set. If you haven't checked out that video, I'll leave a link right here so you can check it out. And if you do end up enjoying today's video, consider subscribing so you don't miss a single video I release. Alright, with that being said, let's go ahead and check out every single one of those skills. Okay, so here we are in Dueling Book, taking a quick look at all the skills. I went ahead and got this link from the Speed Dueling Discord channel, and I highly recommend anyone into speed duels to go ahead and check out that channel. It's a fantastic resource for new players and a phenomenal way to find cool people if you are already a big fan of speed duels. I'll go ahead and leave a link to that channel in the description down below. Alright, let's go ahead and begin by covering Jaden's skill straight at a neospace. Let's go ahead and give it a quick read. At the start of the duel, flip this card over. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon one elemental hero neos from your hand. Also, for the rest of this turn, you can't special summon except elemental hero or neospacian monsters. During your end phase, if a fusion monster you control is returned to the extra deck, you can special summon one elemental hero neos from your deck. Overall, yeah, this skill is phenomenal. I like it quite a bit. This skill does pretty much everything you would possibly want a neospacian skill to do. The one flaw, if I could call it that I have with this skill is that it only procs, or it only allows you to activate it while your opponent controls a monster and you control nothing. But honestly, that's more of like a nitpick on my side. If anything, I can see Neos decks or decks that are opting to play elemental hero Neos just to go second or something. Additionally, I kind of feel like this could have potential of making Neos like the new Sidra of the format for decks that don't quite need their skill and just need a big old monster to summon fairly easily. Do I think this is going to be the case? Maybe. Speed duel players are very creative with the way they play their decks. But overall, I think this skill is phenomenal. I already have a deck cooking up for a Neos beat strategy that I'm like super excited to start testing out more. But yeah, no, this skill, phenomenal. I love it. I think it's simple but effective. Alright, on to the next character. Alright, next up we have Sartorius' skill, Destructive Fate, which reads, at the start of the duel, flip this card over. During your turn, when you would toss a coin or coins for the effect of a monster or a spell card, once per turn for each card type, you may lose half your life points to declare the results instead. During the end phase of your third turn, flip this card over. So overall, I think this skill is kinda crazy. My initial thought, like when I first read this skill initially, my brain immediately went to Cup of Ace. I feel like any deck that doesn't necessarily need their skill is gonna make good use of the skill Destructive Fate, because essentially this will allow any deck to just have Pot of Greed available to them immediately. This skill does not restrict you to only playing the Arcana Force monsters, which is it's a little that's a little concerning for me, because I believe that there's quite a few cards in general, I believe, that have very powerful coin flip effects that this skill can very much take advantage of. I guess another example would be Time Wizard. Time Wizard can pretty much just Regeki your opponent's side of the field by just normal summoning him. I mean, it's a funny example, but it's very viable, I suppose. But besides that, I think the skill is quite a benefit to the Arcana Force strategy as a whole, pretty much guaranteeing you that you get the correct coin flip as opposed to getting the crappier effect. Seems pretty good in my opinion. However, costing you half your life points does seem a bit steep, at least for the Arcana strategy. While costing you half your life points to draw 2 in the other scenario I was mentioning seems like honestly kind of a bargain. If you've played any of the Yu-Gi-Oh TCG, you'll know that pretty much Yu-Gi-Oh players will go through pretty much anything in order to get a draw 2. Given cards like Pot of Desires, Pot of Duality, Pot of Prosperity, all these cards, they have some form of negative effect that allow you to draw 2 afterwards. Or, I guess, The other one is excavate up to 6, but you get the idea. I overall actually really like this skill as well. I am, as I said, I am a little concerned as to whether or not other decks are going to take more advantage of this over the Arcana deck, but I guess we'll see. Up next, we have Tyranno Hassleberry's Food Chain. So this skill reads, flip this card over when you activate this skill. Once per turn, you can apply one of these skills. Destroy one dinosaur or reptile monster you control. Then special summon one dinosaur monster whose level is 1 higher from your hand or deck. Alright, so the second part of the skill is, you can tribute summon one dinosaur monster by banishing 2 dinosaurs or reptile monsters from your graveyard, instead of tributing it. This is still treated as a tribute summon. So let's go ahead and discuss this skill and what implications it could possibly have. So one of the first and most important things that we should probably clear up is that the first part of the skill of destroying one dinosaur or reptile monster you control to special summon another one will not proc the effect of the baby dino, that being baby Ceratosaurus. The main reason for this is because baby Ceratosaurus has to be specifically destroyed by a card effect, and due to rulings with skills, this would not be treated as being destroyed by a card effect, and instead it's just being destroyed by a skill, which is a notable difference. So do keep that in mind whenever you're playing, whenever you're using the skill specifically. As for the second part of the skill, I'm actually quite a big fan of it. The effect to tribute summon one dinosaur monster is treated as a card effect, so therefore I believe you should still have your normal summon available to you afterwards. So this, I believe, can be really beneficial to pushing for game in certain game states. So I quite like it. Overall, yeah, I think this is a really good skill as well. It's kind of a bummer that it won't enable the effects of Baby Ceratosaurus, but you know what? It's whatever. It's honestly not the worst, because you could always just destroy a random dinosaur monster you control in order to get access to like Animadoran Archosaur, and then Animadoran Archosaur can activate its effect to pop like a dino in hand, and you could probably still have your plays available to you. I think we'll overall make do with this. And the tribute effect I think is phenomenal too. I'm kind of glad that they add the added benefit of allowing you to banish a reptile or a dinosaur, which is really good. I guess this allows dinosaur decks now to play more comfortably cards like Gale Lizard if they want to be able to bounce stuff back. Honestly, I can't really think of that many more reptiles that are all that good. I guess Gentlemander can be in their deck. But besides that, actually, it's not half bad as far as skill goes. But yeah, all right. You know what? 3 for 3 so far. I'm not disappointed whatsoever with these skills thus far. So next up we have Jim's Major in Paleontology, which reads, at the start of the duel, flip this card over. Once per turn, you can banish one card from your hand face down, then place one dig counter on this skill, max 1. Okay. If a face-up Fossil Fusion monster you control is destroyed by card effect, you can place one dig counter on this card, max 1. Alright, so what's the whole point of the dig counters? Let's find out. Once per turn during your main phase, you can remove one dig counter from this skill to fusion summon one Fossil Fusion monster from your extra deck, by banishing materials mentioned on it from any player's graveyards, except for materials with specific graveyard requirements listed. This is treated as being fusion summoned with Fossil Fusion. Okay, so in the last video I went ahead and mentioned how it was weird that Jim didn't get Fossil Fusion in his deck, and instead they regulated it to being a skill. Overall, I think this skill is a bit restrictive in my opinion. I understand that a lot of the fusion based skills in the game have you pay some level of cost in order to have access to like the fusion spell right away. And I think it's a little funny that they have you banish the card face down, so it's not an active resource while banished. But besides that, honestly, I feel like this might be the first skill that I'm not super happy with. Don't get me wrong, I think the skill does this job well. I do like the fact that it also gains a counter from your Fossil Fusion monsters being destroyed. But I think the main thing holding me back on this skill is the fact that I much rather have seen Fossil Fusion get printed in the deck as opposed to them getting a skill that does it for them. Besides that, I don't mind it. I do think it has some potential. However, I think that overall, it feels like you're wasting too many resources to go into one of your fusion monsters. I do like the fact that because it's being treated as fossil fusion, it still allows you to use materials from either player's graveyard. But besides that, I don't know. Fossil was one of the decks that I was most excited to try out from this box, but right now I'm kind of leaning more towards like, maybe I'll just play like a Gaia Turbo deck or something along those lines. But yeah, it's an okay skill. I don't hate it, but I don't love it like the other three. All right, now let's go ahead and cover the next skill Jaden received. Wise Men Neos, which reads, at the start of the duel, flip this card over. Elemental Hero Neos and fusion monsters that mention Elemental Hero Neos as material gain the following effect. Before damage calculations, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that opponent's monster's original attack. So yeah, honestly, the skill's cute, it's whatever. I guess it gives us like a pseudo effect of like Neos Wise Men, the monster. I see no reason why you would be playing this skill over the original one that we got. It's kind of like just like a filler skill. It's, as I said, it's cute. It doesn't really do anything for the neospacian strategy or just an elemental hero Neos strategy as a whole. Neos is still very difficult to summon, but as I said, it's neat. Whoop-de-doo, you do a little bit of extra burn. It could possibly win you a game, but I'm not wowed by it by any means. And yeah, that's all I really have for this one, to be frank. Up next, we have Magician Scales. Alright, let's see what this does. Flip this card over when you activate this skill. Once per duel, you contribute one Arcana Force monster and add one normal spell from your deck to your hand. Also, for the rest of this duel, you can't summon any monsters except Arcana Force monsters. So this is interesting. This card gives you the ability to tribute any Arcana monster in order to add a normal spell card from your deck. So that seems very powerful. With this skill, right off the jump, I know that I can search out the Arcana Force search spell, don't remember the name of it, and Cup of Ace. Those are two cards that I definitely know that I can search out. But additionally, because it sets a normal spell card, this means that we can search out a lot of other very powerful spell cards that are seeing a lot of play in the format. Cards like Tribute of the Doom, Hammer Shot, Galaxy Cyclone, Night Beam. There's actually quite a few targets that I can think of right here. But here's the thing. It's a once per duel effect, and it requires you to give up one of your monsters in order to do so. As far as I know, the Arcana deck isn't renowned for spamming out cards to their field. I believe that like Chariot allows you to special summon another one or something along those lines, and I guess with like Halls of Valhalla you could special summon initially, but I don't know if those cards alone will justify using this skill specifically. Don't get me wrong, I think the effect is very powerful. Being able to search a normal spell card is really good, but I don't know if this is the deck to fully take advantage of it. I am so interested to see how people go ahead and like figure it out or maybe find a way to break it, because as I said, speed duel players astound me with like the insane stuff they're able to figure out in this game. I've seen some nutty decks in the past, and I'm excited to see what exactly people can figure out with this one. I feel like this has a lot of potential. It's just like, because it's tied to the Arcana archetype, it seems a little cumbersome, but I'm willing to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section below. Alright, next up we have Dino Brain Immunity. Alright, so this skill reads, at the start of the duel, flip this card over, apply the following skills. The battle position of dinosaur monsters can't be changed by trap cards or effects. Interesting. Level 7 or higher dinosaur monsters on field can't be targeted by spell cards or effects. Alright, this skill is actually really good, and if you're able to build a strategy that's able to get high level dinosaur monsters effectively out to your field, this can be a insane skill, giving your dinosaur monsters a lot of protection. I love the fact that the ability to prevent the battle position of your dinosaur monsters to be changed by trap cards or just effects in general is really cute, because this prevents cards like Zero Gravity, Windstorm of Etaqua, Sphere Karibo, Book of Moon. A lot of these very prevalent cards in the format, I guess Canadia now, to prevent them from interacting with your dinosaurs. But additionally, just having your high-level dinosaur monsters be unaffected by targeting effects is ridiculous. If you can get that going, and especially with the Dinobase, the monster, if you're able to go ahead and get a fairly large ultimate Dino, or I forget, Tyranno Dino, the fusion guy, out to the field, this can make it a very dangerous monster on field. And I am actually really interested in trying this scale out quite a bit. I think that so far, my two favorite skills have been the Dino Brain Immunity alongside Straight Outta Neospace. I think these two skills in general have a ton of potential for like beatdown strategies as a whole. I think Destructive Fate as of late is the skill that I'm the most afraid of with what people are going to be able to figure out with it. Yeah, so far, yeah, I think these skills as a whole so far have been so good. Yeah, look out for Dino Brain Immunity. I feel this skill, it's got something going for it. I feel like it's gonna be a dangerous skill moving forward, especially once we start integrating all the cards from the set into the format. But yeah, phenomenal skill, really good. Next up, we have Dig Site Inspection, which reads: at the start of the duel, flip this card over. Once per turn, during your draw phase, before you draw, you can excavate the top card of your deck and place it at the top or the bottom of your deck. After you place a second card at the bottom of your deck with this skill, flip this card over. So, this is a really interesting skill as a whole. So essentially, this skill allows you to prevent a bad top deck up to twice per activation. But besides that, I don't know how many decks are actually going to be using this skill as a whole. Don't get me wrong, I think it's neat that you can kind of dictate whether or not what card you draw during your turn, but like, I don't know, this is a weird skill, because I feel like it doesn't do enough in order to justify like it being your main skill. But maybe I can set up some jank plays with like some meme decks or something like that need to have very specific draws during their turn or something along the lines of that. To be frank, I'm not entirely sure. I guess you could pair the skill up with like Archfiend's Oath, but I don't know. It's a weird one. I don't even think that works with Archfiend's Oath now that I think about it. Yeah, I'm really unsure on this one. It's a little disappointing that I'm not necessarily wowed by either one of Jim's skills. As I said, his deck was the one that I was the most excited to play, but whatever. I'll still find a way to make him playable. But in the comment section below, let me know. Can you guys think of anything interesting you can do with Dig Site Inspection? Off the top of the dome, I can't really, but I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. All right, so that's all the main character skills from the set. Now we have 4 more skills left, and these are going to be all the side character skills. And they're actually quite interesting and have quite a few implications in my opinion. So let's begin with Invitation to the Society, which reads: at the start of the duel, flip this card over. If your opponent's monster is equipped with White Veil, you can take control of that monster while it's equipped with White Veil. You can only attack with monsters equipped with White Veil the turn you activate White Veil. My goodness, I've said the word White Veil so many times. Alrighty, so this skill is ridiculous. I genuinely cannot believe this skill was actually printed. So, what I mean by this is that essentially, White Veil in your deck has just become Snatch Steal, and that is insane to me. This is a little concerning in my, I think. I honestly, I'm at a loss for words, to be frank with you. I feel like the fact that you can only attack with the monster that is equipped with White Veil, um, is an interesting limitation. But do keep in mind, this is only for the rest of the turn you activated White Veil. That means like the next turn you're free to attack with everything on your field or whatever you want. Yeah. Oh boy. I feel like I don't know if I'm overestimating the power of the skill. I don't think I am. I think that it actually is as powerful as I'm like fearing it's going to be. But just having access to snatch steal just like that is, I think, kind of ridiculous in my opinion. Especially like keep in mind how many times you've seen like your copy of Book of Moon pop up in your opening hand, right? If you played at 3, that is. Decks that play 3 copies of White Veil with Invitation to the Society are gonna be very scary, I think. Especially if they're built in a competent way where it's just able to bleed out advantage out of you or just beat you down. Yeah. No, this is, oh man, this is wild in my opinion. Wow. Holy cow. Okay. Next up we have Moki Moki Madness. Alright, so this card reads, flip this card over when you activate this skill. Apply the following skill. If all monsters you control are Moki Moki monsters, minimum 1, effect monsters can't attack the turn they are summoned. Okay, so you essentially set up the effect of Vengeful Bog Spirit. Interesting. Once per duel, if you control 2 or more fairy monsters, you can place 1 Moki Moki continuous spell card from your deck face up in the spell and trap card zone. And if you do, destroy 1 monster you control. Once per duel, you can discard 1 card to fusion summon 1 Moki Moki King from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Alright, so let's go ahead and break down this skill. Overall, I don't know if this skill does enough for the Moki Moki strategy. I do think it's really cool the fact that it does give some level of protection to your Moki Moki monsters, while you control at least 1 Moki Moki on your field. But I feel like the effect to be able to search out a Moki Moki continuous spell is a bit steep, because at least to my knowledge, I don't think summoning Moki Moki is all that easy as a whole. Right? Because it is a fairy, I guess you could like special summon it off the effect of Valhalla. I guess you could also special summon it off the effect of there's a spell card. I can't think of the name of it. It's Enchanting Feeding Room. That's the card. I guess you could summon it off the effect of Enchanting Feeding Room, but with only 3 Moki Moki vanillas in your deck, the odds of you pulling it off like that seem very slim. I do think it's cool that it does destroy a Moki Moki on field, which would then enable the effect of like Moki Moki Smackdown, which is the spell card you're searching is the only target. And finally, like the once per duel ability to discard 1 card to fusion summon Moki Moki King is cute, I guess. Honestly, for a Pulowski skill, I'm a little whelmed by it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a Moki Moki fanatic. I don't know if there's any secret sauce behind this skill that all the Moki Moki fans are like cooking up with, but I think the skill is kind of like, is it mean to say mid? I don't truly see the potential behind it because I just don't think the Moki Moki strategy can as a whole take advantage of it. I think the effects that it has are nice. I do like the fact that your Moki Mokis have some level of battle protection, kind of. I do like the fact that you control multiple fairy monsters, you're able to place the Moki Moki continuous spell, that being Smackdown. But besides that, and also it does allow you the ability to fusion summon. It's just like, in the Moki Moki strategy, it's just like a bit cumbersome. Like, I don't think you have enough resources to make it work. I'm willing to be proven wrong on this, but I don't know, it's just, it doesn't seem to fix or make Moki Moki all that playable in my opinion. But I'm honestly excited to see if people are able to like find a way to make it work. Alright, let's move on to the next skill. Alright then, so next up we have Shouldering a Destiny, Aster's skill, which reads, you draw 1 less card at the beginning of the duel. During your main phase, you can activate this skill as a continuous spell card. When this card is activated, you can add one Destiny Hero Plasma from your deck or graveyard to your hand. While you control Destiny Hero Plasma, apply the following effects. You cannot draw during your draw phase, and each Destiny Hero Plasma you control gains 100 attack for each monster in the graveyards. Can't be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, also can make a second attack during each battle phase. So yeah, this skill is honestly pretty ridiculous. I know that a lot of people, including myself, were mentioning how the Plasma deck was going to be a lot more playable given the introduction of cards like Card Trooper and Dandelion. Those two cards together pretty much make up the materials needed for a Plasma. And yeah, if Destiny Hero, if Plasma Turbo wasn't a playable deck before, it definitely is now. I believe that this is a unbelievably powerful skill that's gonna make Plasma Turbo a genuine consideration for a top tier deck. I really do think that this skill gives this strategy a ton of potential. Let's go ahead and pretty much explain all my thoughts behind it. I do think the restriction of preventing you from drawing any cards is a good restriction in order to balance this card, because without that, holy shit, this skill becomes 10 times better. Additionally, giving your Plasma the ability to not be destroyed by your opponent's card effects is very powerful. However, it doesn't prevent your Plasma from being like untargetable by cards like Book of Moon as an example, and it doesn't also prevent it from being destroyed by battle. But besides that, like, it's gonna be very difficult to deal with these type of decks as a whole, especially because this can take into consideration that Plasma does have an effect on its own without this skill. It just skill drains the field, making all monsters on field just not have any monster effects, which is very powerful. And not only that, but it's also able to suck up one of your opponent's monsters additionally, and gaining, I don't remember exactly whether it's half the attack points of that monster or exactly that monster's attack points. So I don't know. To me, this is a potentially a top tier skill going forward, and will have a ton, and I mean a ton of implications towards the meta. This might be one of the more played decks if people are able to figure like a really spicy brew for the deck. I'm definitely gonna try and see if I can find a way to break it, but oh my god, it's insane in my opinion. Oh, also, like, I forgot to mention that in addition to like making your Plasma like not be able to be destroyed by card effects, it also gives it like a sizable chunk of attack points to your Plasma, and also allows it to attack your opponent like multiple times per turn, twice, but still. Yeah, no, I think the skill has so much potential, and this is like the third skill so far in the set that I think has very scary implications towards the format as a whole. Alright, yeah, oh boy. This is a good one. This is a good one for sure. So last up, we have Cyber Dark Scheme. This is Zane's new skill, which reads, flip this card over when you activate this skill. Once per turn, you can activate one of these skills. Return one face up or face down Cyberdark monster you control to the hand. Reveal it if face down. And if you do, immediately after the skill resolves, you can normal summon one Cyberdark monster. Alright? Once per duel, send one monster card in your spell and trap card zone, equip it to a Cyberdark fusion monster to the graveyard. Then equip one monster your opponent controls to that monster. Cyberdark fusion monsters gain attack equal to the original attack of the monster equipped by the skill. So, this skill seems pretty good, all things considered. Now, I will say this, I am not a Cyberdark player. I don't particularly like the deck as a whole, like, it's not something that appeals to me specifically, but I can respect the fact that this skill seems fairly powerful. As to the reason why it has the bounce effect, I can only fathom that this is here so you can play around cards like Book of Moon, I guess. And you're able to still, like, I guess, accomplish your equipping on normal summon. Honestly, I don't fully understand the point of the first part of the skill as a whole. I'd like to get some feedback from any Cyberdark players in the comment section. But as far as I understand from reading this, is this just meant to ensure that your Cybertruck monsters are equipped with at least a card whenever they're summoned? If so, that seems okay, I guess. However, the second part of the skill is what I think is really cool and pretty scary as a whole. The ability that once per duel you're able to like scoop up one of your opponent's monsters and equip it to your Cyberduck fusion seems really good. However, I don't know how effectively the deck is able to summon their fusion monster. I know that the fusion in the game right now, I believe there's only one of them, needs like 3 very specific materials in order to make it. And if I'm not wrong, I'm fairly sure that their fusion spell is pretty dang good. So maybe there's potential there with that. And I guess with canon in the game, that adds a lot more consistency. So you know what? Maybe the deck is better than I'm giving it credit. Maybe it does have a ton of potential. Any Cyberdark players in the comment section below, let me know. Are you guys like happy about this skill? To me, it seems like it's a pretty dang good skill for the Cyberdark strategy. I do still stand by my original statement I made in my last video that I am a little bummed out that we didn't get like Cyber Dragon support in this box, and instead it was Cyber Dark. But given what skill and what monster they got for the deck, this doesn't seem half bad at all. So honestly, there's some potential here. So quick recap, there was a surprising amount of really good skills in this set, and to be frank, I think there's a good amount of them that are going to probably see very prominent play in the format. And as a whole, given the box and all the cards that were introduced in it, plus all the skills as well, I don't know, I feel like this is going to shake up the meta quite a bit. But as always, I do want to hear your guys' opinions in the comment section below. But with that, this pretty much wraps up today's video. Again, if you still haven't seen my discussion about the main box, then go ahead and take a quick look at it. I go pretty in depth with all the decks and give all my opinions. But if you're still in the mood for more Yu-Gi-Oh content, then consider checking out my Master Duel series or my progression series that I'm starting up with a few friends of mine. And while you're at it, leave a like and consider subscribing for more content in the future. But with that, I've been Topsy. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.